Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, professional astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, my colleague, astrologer, psychic, intuitive consultant Sarah Adams and I are going to look at the current astrology to see how the astrology reflects the energies available for our soul development. This is going to be a riveting episode, news you can use, so stay tuned. Hey listeners, I want to remind you to support Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine podcast. You can do that by going on to www.buzzsprout.com/958-528/support. This will be in the show notes. Welcome to the episode on Cosmic Scene featuring my guest and colleague, Sarah Adams of Water Earth Consulting. We're going to talk about the current astrology and how that is giving us a template for our soul evolution, both personally and collectively, as we go into the last months of 2024 and into January 2025. Sarah Adams of Water and Earth Intuitive Consulting offers professional tarot and astrology as well as channeling, Reiki, and chakra work. She has been practicing tarot and astrology and doing various kinds of readings since 2001. In addition to offering guidance to clients via private readings, parties, fundraisers, events, and workshops, Sarah is also a writer, marketing consultant, and event planner. And in her free time is training for her private pilot license to fly aircraft. She's a Renaissance woman. The most important role in her life, however, is being a mom to her three daughters, aged 9, 11, and 12, who she is raising in Plymouth, Massachusetts, in a pink home they proudly call Girl Town. You can reach Sarah for consulting or information or an astrology reading or any other of her specialties at Sarah, SARAH, _Adams, capital ADAMS1 at yahoo.com. I'm honored and pleased to bring my colleague Sarah on board for this episode. We have a lot to talk about today, don't we, Sarah?
We sure do on this lovely fall day. And we're actually in my favorite season. It's the season of the fall of the patriarchy.
The season of the fall of the patriarchy, or as we like to say, the season of the witch, which we'll talk a little bit about that energy. Stay tuned for an upcoming episode that will focus on Halloween, All Souls, the energy of late October, those pagan ceremonies, and the evolution of how we are where we are and what they traditionally stood for. But stay tuned for that in the next episode of Cosmic Scene. But today we're going to talk about the astrology at this very pivotal time. We're recording this on Indigenous People Day, October 14th, and we've got a big full moon coming at the end of the week. So we wanted to talk about a little bit, though, what has led into this. We've had a couple big markers. We're out of eclipse season now, but only by a few weeks. We had a big full moon lunar eclipse activating the axis in astrology of Pisces and Virgo on the 17th of September. And then we had a Libra new moon solar eclipse on October 2nd, 2024. After that, we had the Jupiter going retrograde on 10/10. And then Pluto went direct in Capricorn on October 11th. We'll have a full moon, as I mentioned, on the 17th of October. Pluto will finally leave the Capricornian building on the 20th of November. And then we have a node of the moon shift from Libra Aries, where it's been since July 2023, into South Node Pisces, North Node Virgo starting January 12th, which will go for 18 months. So we're going to unpack all that for you and tell you how to use this energy. So what do you want to jump in with this, Sarah?
I just wanted to kind of mention a theme. This is an ancient theme, but it's a theme that's relevant to the times and will kind of help people no matter what's going on around you in the world or above you in the sky. Just kind of remember, as above, so below. We're learning about astrology not as an escapism. We're actually using it as a tool, just like weather forecasts, to see the themes that are going on collectively in the world, and also to help work through themes that are going on within ourselves. So I always say to my clients, as above, so below, and talk about going within to discern what's going on without. So everything we talk about today with the astrology, it's also psychology, as Jill specializes in and knows so well. So these are current themes, but also they kind of trigger ageless themes of,
Exactly.
yeah.
Well, that's why astrology was used. It was used, the Hermetic maxim, as above, so below, but or as in the macrocosm, the universe, the greater whole, so we can balance it and navigate it through the microcosm ourselves, our bodies. So this time it's more important than ever because some of this astrology may feel chaotic to people, what's happening out there in the world, especially as we're less than a month away from the presidential election in the United States. Talk about chaos. But there's so many other things happening all around in the world, and we're not going to really, we'll mention them, but we're going to really focus on the energetics behind, which is the astrology. And I loved what Sarah just said. We can use astrology as a weather forecast so we know what is occurring. Hey, is there going to be a tornado or a hurricane? Should we do something different? Or how can we weather this current astrology? And as Sarah mentioned, three of the main things we like to do is ground, go within, and discern without. And can you speak to that more?
Yeah, I mean, we have had a lot of shifts. We just got through eclipse season, okay? So that's one example of like whatever's going on in your life and in your life when you're dealing with, going through an eclipse season, you have to be able, or anything. I mean, whatever's going on with the astrology, you have to be able to center. And even if you are an astrologer or you follow and study astrology and you're able to interpret everything that's going on, it's like, how do you then process the information and center and use it in your own life? So I've been recommending with people, like, yes, yes, get the astrology readings, but then their homework is to like meditate, let it settle, process, hug a tree. I actually, yes, I give clients that homework, like hug a tree, picture roots from your feet going down into the ground and then branches coming out of your head and reaching to the sky to bring in the light as above all the way through your body, so below to Mother Earth. So I think that anything people can do to find a still point, like an eye within the storm, and find a calm to observe what's going on. And then if you're calm on the inside, you're better able to reflect and then say, okay, how does this apply to my life? And there will be certain themes, right? So, like, knowing the themes really help. On October 2nd, we just had a new moon eclipse in Libra. It was on the south node of the planet, and it was about relationships, releasing old karma, soul contracts, and a lot about boundaries. And if you are going through something in your life right now, whether it's Libra could rule work relationships or legal matters, or it could rule your marriage or your personal relationship, your relationship with your kids, whatever was going on in that week, it was like, okay, here's the astrology. This is what's going on in the macrocosm. How does it apply for me and my clients in our own little microcosmic worlds? And then also, even knowing all of that, even doing all the work, understanding the astrology, meditating, grounding, hugging a tree, whatever works for you. It could be saging yourself. It could be taking salt baths. It could be using essential oils. Like I use bergamot to ground. And then I use blue lotus right now to open my third eye when I need to. Whatever your tools are, wearing crystals, being around animals, it still can be really intense times. So, we got through eclipse season, but then there was like all this extreme weather. And then there's like, war and, horrible things going on in the world. So it's like, okay, we got through the eclipses, but then now let's look at like bigger shifts. Okay, so the microcosm and the macrocosm can be like, we're looking at the astrology and the smaller cycles, but then we can look at the larger cycles. And we'll get into this, but Pluto is,
Before we get to
yeah,
Pluto, let me just make a comment about the eclipse fallout, which is what we
yes,
are experiencing. So again, the full moon lunar eclipse on the 17th of September was in Pisces, and I had predicted that there would be a lot of water issues, a lot of hurricanes, a lot of water phenomena showing up in the weather. And sure enough, there were those two in a row right during the week of the second eclipse. We had Helene do a lot of damage in North Carolina, Florida, and elsewhere. And then we had less than a week later, the Hurricane Milton. So that was fallout, actually, I would say, from that full moon lunar eclipse.
right.
But then, as you mentioned, we had the one on the 2nd of October, which was really, I saw that throw a whammy to relationships big time.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like all the calls for readings I'm getting now are related to relationship crisis.
Right.
And Libra is also about keeping balance, and a lot of people do feel like balance. That's why all the recommendations you made, Sarah, are very important. But the other thing that is a result of two of those eclipses that's popping up for a lot of people is health issues.
Right.
Because Pisces, as I've mentioned before, Pisces Virgo is a health axis. And then Libra, you maintain balance within your system, but if you're off balance, you have ill ease or what we call dis-ease. So a lot, eclipses tend to bring a lot to the surface.
Right.
And then the week later is the time period that you were speaking of Jupiter going retrograde in Gemini, which has some consequences for the duality that's showing up in the world. And then Pluto went direct in Capricorn, where it will stay until November 20th. So what did you want to tell listeners about those transits?
What I wanted to kind of mention is the intensity of these smaller transits. You know, we're talking about moon cycles and planetary transits. These really intense times are happening in the larger context of, we are ending an old age, we're ending the age of illusion, and we're beginning the new age. So everything that's happening really intensely right now, like almost week by week, it's because we've come to a really concentrated turning point. I mean, we're literally at the threshold of the Aquarian age. So everything from the wars to extreme weather to any number of things happening on our planet, it's part of a much, much larger shift.
Yes.
And that context gives me higher perspective to not get bogged down into the intensity or the minutia of the day-to-day astrology. Like, you know, I can do a reading and we can look at someone's astrology. Okay, what's going on for you right now? What's going on in the world right now? How's it affecting you? How are the planets today affecting you? But also, like, oh, let's take a step back. Whatever's happening in your individual life, that it could be fallout or breakdown of established structures in your own individual life. Well, that's actually kind of, in a way, happening for the whole world and
Exactly.
for all of us. We are coming out of the age of illusion, and it can be quite unsettling when you realize that we've been asleep for a long time, maybe even a little brainwashed by certain hegemonic societal power structures. So, you know, that's what I kind of mentioned opening up this discussion, the last gasp of the patriarchy. It's the fall of old, outmoded power systems in society.
And structures. Yeah.
Yeah. And the foundations we had that made us feel secure, oh no. What if that's not where we can find our security anymore, and we've got to look within?
Exactly. And that's scary for a lot of people, because we get back to your earlier comment about having tools. A lot of people don't have inner tools that
Right.
they can work with, which is why you then would come to a professional astrologer who can make recommendations, give you remedies, give you an idea of how to tap into that
Sure.
power and energy.
Sure.
But you're right. The external is falling away. It was all an illusion, but it served a purpose. And we're talking specifically in the most recent history of the transit of Pluto going through Capricorn. So we did see Pluto. Pluto has to do with death, rebirth, purging, purification. So we had Pluto take out the structures, the Capricornian structures. A lot of Capricorn, you know, is the old order, the patriarchal systems, where maybe a few people prosper and benefit and the rest are working for that system, or what they used to say in the 60s, working for the man. But Pluto is purging all that. And so that's why it's scary, because some people, that's all they've known their whole lives, especially younger people. But interestingly enough, they have outer planets that are in Aquarius. That means on a soul level, they've been waiting a while for this new energy to come in.
Yes.
This new energy, the Aquarius, what we call unity consciousness. We're all in this together. The end of, I'll take care of me. Good luck taking care of you. But as you were talking about earlier, Sarah, about this old order, the patriarchy going away, and people are afraid because they don't know what replaces that, what replaces these structures. And guess what? If you're a manifester, you create them from within. So it's exciting. It should be exciting. But, what we're seeing in the media and other sources of information can be very anxiety producing and can be very fear inducing.
And also, we as astrologers and spiritual teachers, as you always say, Jill, we try to be in the world, but not of it.
Right.
We know that we're spiritual beings here to have a human experience, but we kind of, if you're on this path, and many listeners maybe, whether or not they do this professionally, maybe you've always questioned, like, the sanity of our modern society, right? So, like, a lot of us, we've been ready for this, but all the people who are profiting off old structures or really ingrained in them, it could be scary, because we are having a falling down in our society of old power structures and systems. I mean, government, church, the school system, the healthcare system,
Economics,
yes,
finances.
Right. And the reason that we're seeing this so concentrated in America, and without getting into politics, but it's relevant to bring up this point, the United States is having a Pluto return. Pluto was where it was in 1776. So part of understanding the symbolism of Pluto, it's death and rebirth, and then the phoenix rises out of the ashes. So I think that, like, Americans don't know what to think. There's a division because there's the fear of losing the old ways, and then there are the people who, like, it's all got to change, right?
Right.
But what if it's not even about politics? It's just playing out on the political stage as a manifestation of the astrology,
Right.
and the falling down of the power systems. And even, we talked about duality in the U.S. I mean, we have such a divisive political system because of the duality,
Right.
with, the two main parties we have. So I just wanted to mention that really quick. Wherever people's opinions lie, what if we rose above that?
Right.
And actually rose above the specifics of it and just look at it like, okay, our country is literally going through a rebirth.
Exactly. And the Pluto, actually, as Pluto leaves on November 20th and is out of Capricorn, that is also significant for the end of the America-Pluto return, which has been going on for the past 2 years. America has Pluto in Capricorn. I believe it's 27 degrees, 28, not Aquarius. So
Right.
when Pluto goes into Aquarius, we are in the new beginning. And we've had some transits of Pluto in Aquarius for the last 2 years, but it's only been in the initial degrees, like the 0, 1, and 2 degrees, and then it backtracks. So that wasn't really enough for us to see how it's going to affect us in the next 20 years. But it's enough to see the change of brewing, which has been. And again, change is scary for people, especially if they hold on to what they think should be or what they think was. And that whole rhetoric of returning to the past, that ain't going to happen. We're going into a whole new energy. And there's other things, the actual earth beat of Mother Earth called the Schumann resonance, which again, that would be related to Capricorn, the earth sign. It has been accelerating for the last years. The Native American indigenous people call it the heartbeat of Mother Earth. Guess what? It's been pumping and going faster. So that's accelerating evolution of the actual planet and everything on it. Meanwhile, we're getting all these galactic downloads. Interesting with the here up in New England, where we're getting to see the northern lights a lot this summer and fall. And then there's the second moon, which is really a comet. So there's a lot of galactic phenomena, which I think is really a sign to us that we've got galactic energies available to help with the evolution, which would be more of the Aquarius, the universe, galactic. That's an Aquarian theme, where the Earth, the actual physical Earth, would be more of a Capricorn. So we've got these other phenomena that are beyond what's actually in the scope of a lot of people's consciousness affecting us as well. And, astrology falls into that universal manifestation of consciousness. So we're in a very transitional time, and that's what people need to remember. So what do you do when you're transitioning? You pack your suitcase and you leave one destination and you're excited about getting to the next one instead of fearful. Are you interested in natural health and regenerative healing? Do you want to work with vibration to heal your body? Check out this patented wearable light technology at www.lifewave.com/JillJar. LifeWave is a company that has patches that you wear. So it's not transdermal, you're not taking anything in. And what these patches do, they activate your body's light. It's called biomodulation, and that light is activated. Your body starts producing GHK, copper peptides, which in turn activates stem cell production. That's right. So wearing these patches will regenerate your body, reflects your body's light back into your tissues, and you become more vital, energized, reduce pain, inflammation, improvement of sleep, increased strength are all possibilities. Other benefits could be hair quality, rapid wound healing, mental clarity, increased joy and stamina, your skin appearance and wrinkles could go away. Again, all probable and possible depending on your chemistry. Others have enjoyed increased sports performance and recovery and restored muscle or skeletal conditions. Check it out at lifewave.com/JillJar and order yours today.
I love the suitcase analogy. Someone taught me this once about the karmic backpacks, okay? We all have a karmic backpack on, and we've got to take it off ourselves and go through it ourselves, right? And someone told me this a long time ago when I was giving others more energy than I was giving myself because I wanted to heal everybody, right? But it starts with self. And the way I was explained, if you take someone else's karmic backpack off for them and try to work it out for them, it's just they're gonna have to put it on, and it's gonna be even heavier. So it's like we can only do our own karma, our own karmic backpacks. So then we're thinking about this, okay? What do we want in our karmic backpack moving into the new age? Because this is a huge shift. So whatever you take with you, like you're taking it with you.
Right.
And what do you want to let go?
Right. So there's the purging part of Pluto.
Yeah.
It's basically the theme here is travel light.
Yes.
And we're talking, physically light, psychologically light, because Pluto is the psychological planet, and energetically light.
Right.
Because you can create what you need. And this is a whole kind of spiritual phenomena that as people want to hang on, whether it's to a relationship or a physical representation like a home
or a mindset
or a mindset or a habit. People, because they only know that, and there is a fear of the unknown, but the unknown is where we have our power. Right. And remember what fear is. Fear is false expectations appearing real or future expectations appearing real. So, don't worry. Be happy, right?
Yes.
You get to have a whole reboot and rebirth. We all do. We are rebirthing as a planet. But again, those things that are actually interfering with the energy moving forward are all coming and popping to the surface, sort of like, sometimes when we are purging our bodies, we can have skin eruptions and they can be scary. And you think that, oh my God, I'm going to have this big, huge boil on my skin. But then it pops and guess what? The toxicity is gone. So that's a metaphor for what's happening.
It's like we've been dredging the swamp of like the collective human
Well,
subconscious.
remember
and
that
it's all coming up.
That has a political connotation,
Yeah,
dredging
and
the
I
swamp.
do
Maybe
not.
we should not
Okay,
use
let's
that.
use another one. We've been dredging a pond, and whatever it is, like it's everything that comes up that hasn't been dealt with. And if you look at some of like the themes right now in the news, I feel like the last couple years with this Pluto return, particularly in the US, we've been dealing with like a lot of stuff coming up that like we've looked the other way on. And the collective consciousness is finally ready to deal with like some issues in humanity that haven't been dealt with. And it could be in your own personal life, it could be, in the country. Just issues about people being repressed, abuse, things like that coming up. People have to I think people have to be ready to like deal with their own trauma, but also like the collective trauma of our societies. Generations prior to us looked the other way, but we were also like deep in the Piscean age. Now that we're in the age of Aquarius, it's the age of information. And you mentioned like these new kids being born with like outer planets in Aquarius. I think a lot of these like star kids or star seeds,
Crystal kids,
yeah,
crystal children.
Yeah, they used to call them indigo children in like the 70s and 80s.
And 90s.
And they're coming in and they're like on social media and they're like, they want justice. And it's interesting because they're looking back on themes like the last 30 years. So I think it's coming out a lot, whether it's celebrities, whether it's scandal in the entertainment industry, the music industry. There's going to be more stuff coming up about oppression, but I actually think I think in the wake of the Me Too movement, there's going to be like a Me Too movement for men. I do, because
Right, but not from the old patriarchal, machismo, like chauvinist man, from like, hey, I'm a guy who's getting balanced with my feminine side. That's been long a coming, and our society hasn't allowed it. So I think we're going to see a lot of the male energy get in touch with their feminine, which is their creative side, and make big choices in their life that will become societally based too, because the other model hasn't worked.
Right.
And women are probably going to also lead the charge, because behind every powerful man there's a strong woman.
And you have to think too, okay? So Pluto's about power, and Pluto right now in the final degrees of Capricorn, it's deconstructing power structures. Well, we've been ruled by top-down power structures for a long time. So what if the power began to decentralize? And how do we do that? What if the ripple effect is actually each person reclaiming their own personal sovereignty, right?
Perfect. Yes. So even the wars that are going on in the planet, everybody is like, well, somebody should do something. Oh, who's caught, blaming who's doing it, who's causing it. But remember that old adage, be the peace you want to see in the world. I think we need to come back to that. I think that's very important because if we get a pivotal amount of people in a peace and love mindset, well, that shifts the collective. Remember the 100th monkey syndrome? One monkey started washing his fruit before he ate it, and then the other ones on this island started doing it, and before you knew it, at the same time, every monkey on the planet started washing its fruit. So that's called the 100th monkey phenomena. So if enough of us are vibing in peace and love and feeling prosperous within, that's going to shift. And we keep going back to that in the quote New Age or in the holistic movement. But I think this is the time when we'll really see that, because we don't have the obstacles we've had in the past.
Also, we're raising our perspective collectively. What if the focus was on human rights instead of profit and power? And what if the theme changed to the ends don't justify the means? Because really around the world, what's happening is human rights are becoming like coming up to the collective consciousness like, oh, what if we framed everything within a human rights perspective, protecting and honoring that for all? Because the Aquarian age is supposed to be about equality, and Pluto empowers oppressed peoples. And it's not about like sides and wars at all. This is about like rising above all of it. But to get to that
Together
place,
we rise too.
yes, but to get to that place, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be undone. Like where we stand right now, there's war and strife and political division because we've got one foot in the old world and one foot in the new. Right. So it's like everything's almost imploding or falling apart or deconstructing so that we can rebuild.
Right. And then that speaks to the Jupiter going retrograde in Gemini. Gemini is the sign of duality, of the double, of the twins. You've got the nice twin, the evil twin. So we're seeing this duality showing up in our world. Some people are having absolute blissful miracles, healing miracles, experiences that are above and beyond that they could ever imagine. Many people are awakening to their souls, to themselves. And then we have the strife and chaos. Yeah. So it's all happening at once.
Yes. And even within us. So we see some examples of like people excelling and other falling, but those highs and lows can also be like right within us in any given day. So I'll give an example. Like I had all these spiritual enlightening experiences over the summer and even through like leading up to the eclipse season. I mean, I'm talking about like epiphanies, waking up past life gifts, like just amazing psychic phenomena. And then I'd get hit or slammed with something at work, or it would be my kids, or it would be my house. So there was the high-low duality of like our third dimensional dense world and all the karma on the planet, and then like all the galactic downloads coming in and the higher perspective and like the psychic ability, et cetera, et cetera. But that's why I do talk about balance a lot lately and grounding before connecting above, because it helps to bridge. And we're building a bridge within us and without us. Like our humanity is building a bridge from the old age to the new age. But also with my own work, I've been building the bridge within myself from my high vibe, amazing, life-changing epiphanies, psychic downloads, out-of-body experiences, astral plane travels, you know, remembering past lives, and then all of a sudden having these new skills from them. Like amazing stuff. But it's been the bridge between all of that and then integrating it down into my physical reality to help me here be a human mother, a human healer, a human professional, a homeowner. I mean, you know, before this time, I felt like I almost lived two lives.
Right.
The last 20 years.
Right.
Now it's all integrating.
Exactly. And that's key. I think that would be a great point to go out on with this episode, that even though it may feel so much is going on and that you have these great awakening moments and then you have to go and, you know, clean the cat litter and do something really earthy. So you're having these very highs and then you have to get grounded and do, you know, you're getting all kinds of creative downloads and then you have to pay your mortgage or your rent. But, you know, what is unity it's all one. It's all the same. So instead of thinking one's better and one's not, it's like the grounding. So these chores, or what's required of us in our earthly life, are the anchor to the higher energies. And the more that we're present and not disconnected and not checking out and not trying to create something in our head that this should be, but really being present in each moment, then we are going to be able to ground and move through what we need to move through and be open to receive this powerful energy that is available to us on the planet right now. So a lot of what happens is our mind will do that split, like, oh, things should be better. It's like, accept where you are and know that as you are present with every moment and you accept every moment and have gratitude for everything that is good in your life, you will create the new reality. It's no longer about projecting with your mind, mental images. That was, again, the old way of manifesting. The way of manifesting our reality is very much what we were speaking about: being present, connecting with nature, being in balance, appreciating what you have, not trying to live in a fantasy world, but being very grounded, but at the same time aspiring to the better life that you want. It's a great time to book a reading. So check out my website, JillJardineAstrology.com/shop, and pick the kind of reading or service you would like. I hope you enjoyed this episode on the astrology of the current times and how they're showing us our soul evolution personally and collectively. Make sure that you subscribe, download, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine signing out, sending healing cosmic currents through the quantum field.